A black teenager is arrested in the middle of a basketball game. No one asks why. A white girl cries, and the entire city believes her. Only one man, a young lawyer, chooses to believe the truth. And when the final evidence is revealed, the courtroom falls silent. Stay with us for a gripping story of injustice, courage, and the price of standing alone. The sound of bouncing basketballs echoed across the cracked pavement, laced with the laughter of teenage boys. The chain-link fence rattled slightly in the afternoon wind, carrying the scent of sweat, sneakers, and summer. Darius Cole, 17, had just made a clean pass down the court when the screech of tires tore through the moment. Two police cruisers slammed to a stop at the edge of the court, doors flung open. Officers Raymond Holt and Seth Garner advanced with urgency, hands hovering over their belts. "Are you Darius Cole?" Darius turned, confused. A drop of sweat slid down his temple. "Yeah. What's going on?" "Turn around. Hands behind your back. No explanation. No questions. Just the snap of cold steel around his wrists." The court fell silent. His friends stood frozen. Jalen tried to say something, but his words were lost. No one moved. Darius was shoved into the back seat. His forehead rested against the glass, watching the basketball court shrink behind him like a dream collapsing in reverse. At the station, no one told him why he was there. Officer Holt tossed a file on the desk like it meant nothing. "Girl said she got grabbed in the park. Black kid. Hoodie. That's all we need." Detective Maria Bennett leaned against the doorframe. She didn't speak, but she was listening, watching. 3 hours later, Elliot Grant walked in, young, pressed shirt, a touch of uncertainty in his step. "Darius Cole, I'm Elliot Grant. I've been appointed as your attorney." Darius didn't look up. "They picked me 'cause I look like whoever she made up." Elliot sat down, keeping his voice low but steady. "I believe you." And for the first time that day, Darius looked up just for a second. His eyes were heavy with disbelief. Elliot Grant had never defended a case like this. Law school had taught him how to cite precedent, how to argue theory, but not how to protect a black teenager whom the entire system had already labeled guilty. He sat in his cramped office at Legal Aid, rereading the police report. Victim Kylie Simmons, 17, claimed she was grabbed in Patterson Park around 9:00 a.m. Suspect black male, wearing a dark hoodie, no fingerprints, no witnesses, no DNA, just a name, Darius Cole. Elliot visited the park. It was quiet now. Birds chirped over benches still damp with dew. He traced Darius's described path from the east entrance to the rear alley. It took 6 minutes, maybe 7. Darius said he walked through the park, cutting to a corner store to buy a drink. Elliot scanned the nearby streets. On the far end of the block, he spotted it. Jake's Corner Store, a dusty old shop with a camera above the front door. He stepped inside. The air smelled of old gum and vinyl floor cleaner. "You keep that camera running?" Elliot asked the cashier. "Always," the man replied. "Boss checks the footage every week." Elliot smiled. Perfect. Later that night, he met Detective Bennett at a diner. She slid into the booth across from him, black coffee in hand. "Off the record," she said, eyeing him cautiously. "This whole thing doesn't feel right." "Then why stay quiet?" Elliot pressed. "Because if I'm wrong, I tank my career." "You ever gone against the current?" Grant Elliot looked at her for a long moment. "Every day." Meanwhile, The media chewed on the story like hungry wolves. Teen girl assaulted in public park, community. Demands, answers, young black male in custody. No one said alleged. No one said presumed innocent. At school, Darius was suspended without discussion. On social media, someone posted his yearbook photo with the word predator stamped across it in red. At midnight, Elliot's phone rang. "He doesn't talk anymore," said Monica Cole, Darius's mother. Her voice trembled. "He just sits there, staring at the wall. Can you fix this?" Elliot stared at the ceiling. "I'm trying." 3 hours later, with bloodshot eyes and cold coffee in hand, Elliot paused on frame 903 AM. There was Darius, in a different part of town, buying an orange soda, time-stamped, clear, unmistakable. He hit pause. Then he printed it, hands shaking. The courtroom smelled like paper and quiet judgment. Judge Leonard Massey sat high on the bench, expression carved from granite. Every movement in the room seemed slower under his watch. Kylie Simmons sat across the aisle, flanked by her parents. Her eyes never once met Darius's. Harold Dean, the state prosecutor, adjusted his tie and began pacing before the jury. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, voice calm but loaded, "this case is about a young woman whose trust in her world was broken. She was attacked in daylight. She remembers the face. She remembers the fear. And that young man," he pointed, "was there." Elliot rose slowly. "Objection. Your Honor, there is no physical evidence, no eyewitnesses. This is a narrative, not a fact." "Sustained," Judge Massey said without looking up. But the damage was done. The jury had seen the hoodie, the skin color, the silence. Elliot called Darius Cole to the stand. The boy moved slowly, like the air had thickened around him. He sat straight, but tense. "Did you harm Kylie Simmons?" Elliot asked. "No, sir. I've never touched her. I don't even know her." "Where were you at 9 a.m. That morning, Jake's Corner Store. I bought a soda. They got cameras." A rustle moved through the courtroom. Elliot walked to the TV monitor and inserted a USB. The screen lit up. There was Darius, clear as day. Timestamp 9:03 a.m. Across town. Harold Dean scrambled. "Objection, this wasn't submitted in discovery. It's been independently verified, time-stamped, and available to both sides now." Elliot countered. Judge Massey reviewed the footage. His lips thinned. "Admissible." Kylie whispered something to her lawyer. Her father folded his arms. Then, from the gallery, a girl stood, Clara Reeves, Kylie's classmate. Nervous. Hands clenched. "She lied," Clara said aloud. "Kylie told me she made it up. Her boyfriend saw her texting another guy. She panicked." The courtroom exploded. Gasps. Chairs screeching, reporters scribbling. Judge Massey pounded the gavel. "Order, order." But the silence had already cracked, and the truth was rushing in. Darius Cole was acquitted. The courtroom clapped. Some even cheered, but it didn't last. Outside, the crowd had split into two. One side held up signs, "Justice for Darius." The other shouted, "This is a mistake." Cameras flashed. Reporters swarmed. Elliot Grant kept his head down as he walked Darius and Monica Cole to the car. "Thank you," Monica whispered, voice shaking. Darius didn't speak, but he pulled Elliot into a brief, firm hug. "Just once. Enough." Back inside, reporters shouted from all directions, "How does it feel to free a predator? Mr. Grant, did you coach the witness? Was it ethical?" Elliot didn't respond. He stepped into the elevator. Let the doors close. That night, someone smashed his windshield. The next morning, his office voicemail was filled with anonymous threats. One message just said, "You picked the wrong side." He sat in the dark, listening to them all, one by one, until the phone stopped ringing. Then his screen lit up. A message from Detective Maria Bennett, Internal Affairs, has opened a review. I testified. We'll see what happens. Elliot allowed himself one breath. Not of victory, but not silence, either. Across the city, Clara Reeves packed her bags. Her parents were sending her to live with relatives out of state for her safety. She didn't cry, but she didn't smile either. Kylie Simmons released a statement through her lawyer. It was clinical, cold. No apology. Due to trauma and misinterpretation of events, my statements were not entirely accurate. No admission, no ownership, just words. The mayor promised a full investigation, but by the following Monday, it had vanished from the news cycle. Darius didn't go back to school. He didn't log into social media. He didn't talk much at all. But one night, around midnight, Monica passed his room and stopped. Through the crack in the door, she saw him hunched over his desk, drawing, sketches, city skylines, crowds, faces. Some he knew, some he didn't. A version of the world where he belonged. In the quiet, Darius pressed his pencil hard against the paper. He couldn't erase what had been done to him, but maybe he could redraw what came next. 6 months later. The courtroom was just another building. The protests had quieted. The headlines had faded. But Elliot Grant still remembered every face in that room. He stood now in front of a group of law students, guest lecturing at a small university. His suit was the same one he wore at Darius's trial, slightly wrinkled at the cuffs. He clicked the remote. The screen behind him lit up. A single, still image. Darius Cole, in a grainy frame, holding a bottle of orange soda inside Jake's corner store. Time, 9:03 a.m. This frame, Elliot said, voice even, saved a life. The room was silent. A young woman in the front row raised her hand. "Do you think justice was served?" she asked. Elliot paused. He thought about the threats, the shattered windshield, Clara's forced silence, Kylie's empty statement. He thought about how Darius still hadn't returned to school. Justice, he said. Maybe. Accountability? No. Silence hung between them. A few weeks later, a mural appeared on the side of a building not far from the courthouse. It showed a boy in a hoodie, standing tall. His face was calm, but his eyes carried something deeper, something unspoken. Beneath the image, a single line in white paint. "Don't be the silence. Be the voice." Darius saw it one night. He didn't stop, didn't take a photo, didn't say anything, but he stood there for a moment. Then he kept walking. Not fast, not slow, just forward. The city hadn't changed, but he had. And maybe that just that was enough for now.